I thought of law school when I was very young. My father told me, you could be a judge. I don't know if I knew what it really meant, but I knew it was a positive thing. Being able to make decisions and to solve problems, that was so interesting to me. No, I see it. I don't remember my hair being like that or looking like that at all. I don't know when that was from.
They said it was part of your admission.
Oh, it was?
Yeah.
From Wellesley?
It must have been.
Oh, well, yeah. I was thrilled at the idea of being able to go to Harvard. I loved Cambridge. It's a wonderful, wonderful place to be. Very different from the bucolic environment of Wellesley. I felt very fortunate that I was there, that this moment in history just gave me this opportunity. The first year at the law school was a remarkable experience. First of all, I had an advantage because I had met the summer before a young man who was a third-year law student at Harvard. And so we developed a romance during that period. So when I went to the law school, I had someone to really show me around. And so Don had a bike, and Don would pick me up because we found a rooming house that I had to live in, because there were, as you know, no dorms for women. So, but Don was wonderful. And so I met my other colleagues, the other women, and I was comparing notes with them, and we were all in pretty good shape. We felt very excited about what was happening. The men were pleasant. Nobody was unpleasant. They were kind of amused. I remember one of them saying, "Would you walk ahead of us?" And there were two of the women were walking. And we want to see what a woman law student really looks like. Like we would be some strange animal. We found out that not only we had no place to live, not only we had no place to eat, but there was no bathroom. So I was designated the person to go see the dean. And I knocked on the door and I said to the dean, I said, "We need a ladies' room." He said, "Oh my God, yes, you need a ladies' room." I said, "Yes, and you have to put a sign on it that says ladies." He said, "Of course." And I said, "We need a mirror." He said, "A mirror?" I said, "Yes, a mirror." So we got a ladies' room in the basement of Austin Hall. And that was our first achievement at the law school. I loved studying the appellate law. And I remember Professor Scott walking up and back, with his hands behind his back, and he'd point to a first-year law student and say, "Make it sound like a demurrer." And that's the way we were taught. My relationship broke up. I was engaged and unengaged, and so that was sort of traumatic. But I survived, obviously. And my second year, I had visited New York, and my cousin Nita Lowey, she was a congresswoman. You know, her mother and my mother were very symbiotic sisters. And they introduced me to a gentleman who was a doctor. So I met him. I didn't like him, and he didn't like me. And for some reason, he kept calling me. Probably somebody was after him to keep calling me. And he called me. And we got together again, and we did hit it off. And I got married. And I commuted from Cambridge to New York because my husband was a doctor, and he wanted me home on Friday night for dinner. So I had to arrange my schedule so I could manage. And then in my third year, what I managed to do was I got pregnant. And so I came to Harvard Law School in my first maternity dress. And I remember the gentleman sitting behind me said, "Is that a new style?" And I said, it is for me. I managed to graduate and go home and continue my life, and had 2 more children. And of course, that marriage did not survive. I remarried Paul Miller. He was so handsome, he looked like a movie star. And we had a very good life. My neighbor from down the street came up and she said, we want you to run for judge. And I said, I'm not political. I've never been political. I have no political background, and I have 3 kids. She said, we want you to run for judge. We have just the right person to help you. His name is Michael Patrick Doyle. He's an Irishman from the Bronx. He's moved to Larchmont. He knows everything about politics, and he'll teach you the ropes. And so I met Michael Patrick Doyle, and Michael Patrick Doyle taught me that the first thing I needed to do was have a palm card. A palm card is the card that the candidate carries around with all the credentials of the candidate on it. So he said, what do you think is the first thing you should put on a palm card? I said, probably Harvard Law School. He said, no. Mother of 3. Then Harvard Law School. And of course, that race was not one to be won because, number one, I was running against 2 seated judges, but I ran. And after that, I had what you call the fire in the gut. By then, I knew that I could win. My career was very rewarding career on every level, and I loved being a judge. One of the things that have been so meaningful in my life has been my involvement with the Women's Bar Association. Because not only I'm active in it, I was president of it and all that, but the Women's Bar Association, they were my troops in the field. They helped me get elected. And then I formed Judges and Lawyers Breast Cancer Alert, which is a wonderful organization. So I've been involved in some things that affect women and that have been very, very important to women. I'm so impressed when I go to the union and I see these women who are doing such, amazing things in the corporate world, and in the legal world, and politically.
When you have gone back, what has struck you about the law school?
Well, what struck me, you're gonna laugh, when I went to the law school, one of the first things I saw was a woman sitting on the steps of Langdale Hall nursing her baby. And I thought, isn't that wonderful? What a difference, yeah. So we have come a long way. Doesn't mean we don't have further to go. We have come a long way.